Rain drizzled over the quiet college town in Texas as Ethan Cole, a 4-year-old law student, trudged home through the gray streets. His life was collapsing mountains of debt left by his late father, his mother's medical bills, and a job that barely paid for groceries. That evening, his phone buzzed. "Ethan Cole speaking," he answered. A calm, authoritative woman replied, "Mr. Cole, my name is Vivienne Hale. I'd like to discuss your financial situation. Meet me at Hale Bistro at 7. Before he could respond, she hung up. Curiosity and desperation brought Ethan to the upscale restaurant that night. Inside, beneath warm lights, sat Vivienne Hale, elegant, silver blonde hair swept neatly back, a perfectly tailored suit radiating power and wealth. She looked no older than 65 but carried herself like someone who owned the room. "Ethan," she greeted smoothly, "I know about your debts. I can erase them, all of them. In return, I want you to marry me." Ethan stared at her in disbelief. "You want to marry me? You don't even know me." "I know enough," she said. "I'm not asking for love. I want companionship. You'll have financial security. I'll have someone to share my name. Think of it as a contract." That night, Ethan told his mother, Margaret Cole, everything. Her frail voice trembled. "It sounds impossible, son, but maybe this is the only way out for all of us." Ethan sat in silence, torn between pride and the crushing weight of reality. By morning, he had made his decision. A week later, they stood before a judge in a small courthouse. No guests, no music, just signatures and vows that meant more to law than to love. "Welcome to your new life, Mr. Cole," Vivienne said, smiling faintly as the rain tapped against the courthouse windows. Her chauffeur drove him to the Hale estate, a sprawling mansion with marble columns, silent halls, and a chilling sense of emptiness. The staff moved like ghosts. Even the walls seemed to whisper secrets. That first dinner was unsettling. Vivienne, graceful yet distant, ate with surgical precision. "You'll adjust soon enough," she said. "Or you won't. Either way, you're here now." Something in her tone sent a shiver down his spine. Days passed. Ethan roamed the mansion's endless corridors, noticing doors that were always locked. Staff avoided his eyes. Conversations died when he entered a room. He heard whispers. Does he even know? One night, while pacing the library, he spotted a small, ornate key gleaming under a lamp. He pocketed it. Hours later, curiosity overcame fear. The mansion slept as Ethan crept down a shadowy hallway. The key fit perfectly into one of the locked doors. The click echoed like thunder in the silence. Inside lay a room frozen in time-faded wallpaper, dust-coated furniture, old photographs. Among them, a young Vivienne beside a man who must have been her late husband, Richard Hale, and another man Ethan didn't recognize. On the desk were business papers and legal documents, and then Ethan froze. The signatures were familiar. His father's name appeared beside Richard Hale's, tied to a string of failed real estate deals. One handwritten letter read, "You ruined everything. My family was left with nothing because of your lies." Underneath lay a marriage license, his and Vivienne's, dated weeks before he'd agreed to marry her. And beside it, a leather-bound diary. Ethan opened it and read, "I will take everything from him, just as his father took everything from me. He will be my pawn." The door creaked behind him. "Enjoying yourself, Ethan?" Vivienne stood there, her figure a silhouette against the dim light. "Why did you marry me?" he demanded. "Was it revenge for my father?" Her eyes turned to steel. "You don't get to ask questions. Play your part, and you'll leave richer than you began. Isn't that enough?" "No," he said. "You've trapped me in a lie." "A trap?" she smirked. "Maybe you should have read the fine print." Her voice was venom wrapped in velvet. Then she left him standing in the dark, heart pounding with dread. Haunted, Ethan secretly contacted his old law school friend Ryan Blake for help. Hypothetically, Ethan asked, if someone signed a contract under false pretenses, could it be voided? Ryan frowned. "Yes, if you can prove coercion or deceit." "Ethan, are you in trouble?" "Just a project," Ethan lied. In the following days, Ethan searched Vivienne's office when she was away. Hidden beneath files, he found a letter addressed to his late father, written in Vivienne's unmistakable hand. It accused him of fraud, embezzlement, and betrayal that drove her husband Richard to a fatal heart attack. "You left us with nothing," she had written. "I will see that your family pays." Ethan's stomach turned. Vivienne's marriage proposal had never been about love. It was revenge, years in the making. He decided to fight back. Vivienne's instincts were sharp. The next morning she confronted him at breakfast. "You've been busy, haven't you?" "I don't know what you mean," Ethan said, forcing calm. She leaned closer, her whisper cutting like glass. "If you betray me, you'll regret it. Remember that." Ethan's mind raced. He secretly hired a private investigator who confirmed the truth. Richard Hale had indeed been swindled by Ethan's father in a fraudulent land scheme. Vivienne's entire fortune and her sanity had collapsed afterward. But the investigator also uncovered more. Vivienne herself was now involved in illegal partnerships and falsified reports, desperate to rebuild her empire at any cost. Ethan gathered everything: letters, contracts, financial statements, and, with Ryan's help, built a case strong enough to expose her. That evening, Ethan waited for Vivienne in the grand sitting room, his bag heavy with evidence. "We need to talk," he said as she entered. "Do we?" she replied coolly. "What could you possibly have to say that I'd care to hear?" He laid the documents on the table. "I know everything about my father, about Richard, about what you've been doing to rebuild your fortune." For the first time, her composure cracked. "Do you have any idea what your father did to us? My husband died because of him." "And how many people have you hurt since?" Ethan shot back. "How many lies have you built just to justify your revenge?" Her voice trembled between fury and pain. "Don't talk to me about fairness. You think you're innocent because you didn't pull the trigger? His bloodline lives through you." "Then end it," Ethan said quietly. "End the cycle." For a fleeting moment, something softened in her eyes, almost regret. "You remind me of him," she murmured. "Richard. The same fire. I didn't expect to feel anything for you, Ethan. But here we are." Before he could respond, tires crunched on the gravel outside. Police officers entered, followed by Ryan. "Miss Vivienne Hale," an officer announced, "you are under arrest for fraud and conspiracy." Vivienne turned to Ethan, her voice low and eerily calm. "You called them. You left me no choice." As she was led away, she gave him one last look. "You may think you've won, Ethan, but revenge doesn't die easily. Be careful, it might consume you too." Weeks later, the courtroom fell silent as the gavel struck. Vivienne Hale, once untouchable, now faced judgment. Ethan sat quietly in the back. Despite everything, his testimony helped reduce her sentence, not out of pity but understanding. Their eyes met for a brief moment. She nodded faintly, almost in peace. Days later, Ethan received a letter from her lawyer, summoning him to the estate one last time. The mansion, once cold and suffocating, now felt empty. He was handed a deed Vivienne had left the property to him, and a letter in her handwriting. "It was never about the money, Ethan. It was about closure. Richard deserved justice, but I lost myself chasing it. You've reminded me what truly matters, the ability to move on. Use this place for something better." Ethan sold the estate, using the proceeds to pay his family's debts and create the Richard Hale Scholarship Fund for Second Chances, a foundation helping those who'd suffered injustice or loss. Months later, as autumn leaves turned gold, Ethan received another letter from prison. "I used to believe revenge could heal," it read. "But revenge is its own prison. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is strength. Thank you for showing me that." He folded the letter gently, slipping it into his jacket pocket. A year after Vivienne's arrest, Ethan stood before a small audience at the scholarship's opening ceremony. Behind him hung a modest plaque, "The Richard Hale Scholarship Fund for Second Chances." "This fund isn't just about money," he said. "It's about turning pain into purpose, giving people hope when the world forgets them." After the applause faded, Ethan stepped outside. The sky above was bright, the air crisp and clean. For the first time, he felt free from debt, from guilt, from the ghosts of the past. He looked up, smiling softly. In his pocket, Vivienne's final letter rested, a quiet reminder that even the darkest stories can end with light. Ethan's journey wasn't about wealth or revenge. It was about redemption, forgiveness, and the courage to rewrite the legacy we inherit. Vivienne's revenge had destroyed her, but her final act of grace gave Ethan the chance to rebuild not only his own life, but countless others. Sometimes, justice isn't about punishment. It's about choosing compassion where pain once ruled.